Okay, see if I can demonstrate the brittleness of the roofing tar. I just took this out of the refrigerator, and this is the piece from the previous video. You can see how brittle that is from the refrigerator, where just a little while ago I was able to bend it. So as you can see, it's not bendable at like 40 degrees or whatever the refrigerator is, 38 or something. Okay, it's very brittle in the wintertime. Okay, so I think it was mixed with something else. And latex has been known to Central American Indians for probably at least 3,000 years, maybe longer. So it may have been exported, latex in chicle from South America, Mexico, and so forth, to mix with various rosins and stuff. Okay. Now you may ask about birch tar. Have I ever worked with birch tar? Well, funny you should ask. Yes, I have. All right, so I've got I've got a way to make birch tar. What I did, this is my setup here. Let's see if we can see the inside of this. This can has a screen at the bottom. Let's see if I can get this out. Okay, I think it's 1/4-inch screen. I'm not sure what kind of can this is, or what it came from. It might be a tomato can or a coffee. It's not coffee, I don't think. Something else. Anyway, I stuff it with birch bark. Now the birch bark I have is from New Hampshire. The last time I went to go visit, I grabbed a batch. I can't see. I have enough for like one more cook. This was all from dead birch trees that have been laying on the ground for a while. I dried it all out before I did any cooking. I've done 3 batches. Okay. The first batch was very tiny. I didn't heat it enough, I don't think. Second batch came out really good. Third batch came out even better. And I mixed them together and they heated it up, but I'll get to that in a minute. This is how I heat this. I make a hole in the ground first for this, not this particular one, but one just like it. I think this is also tomato or something, tomato paste. You bury this in the ground. Okay, so just the barely a little bit sticks out from the ground, and this thing has a hole in the bottom in the middle. You put that on top. This is in the ground. You put that on top. You've got this full of birch bark, packed in real tight. The screen at the bottom prevents it from touching the bottom. And then this is the original lid. I have a side cut can opener, and the lid comes off very, very well, and it goes back on very well. And you have the side cut can opener. And I put a weight on the top, and then I cover it with wood, maybe 1.5 5-gallon buckets full of chopped wood, enough for a 2-hour burn. 2 hours of pretty good heat, okay, is more than enough for this size. All right, and you get the tar at the bottom. Now, as I was saying earlier, I did 3 batches and I mixed the last 2 together, and I made a mistake and put it beside the fire, and I left for 5 minutes. I came back and it was a foamy, bubbly mess. and there was a large foul-smelling cloud in the air. And what I think I did is I burned out all the turpentines, and all I was left with was a bunch of charred remains of the birch tar. I did this about a year ago. Anyway, this is now very much like the asphaltum, like the brittle asphaltum. Okay. This is birch tar. It breaks apart just like asphaltum. Alright? If you cook it too long. So what I did was I took some of that overcooked birch tar and I added the magic ingredient. I added some gum base to it, and I was able to work with it. Okay, so this is a batch of the birch tar with the gum base added, the burn batch, and it retains some flexibility. Now, after I added some, I don't think it was half and half gum base and birch tar, but it might be. I think it's mostly birch tar. But I'll do more of these. I need to get another batch of birch bark. I'll do more videos with birch tar, but you can see with the addition of gum base with the birch tar, it adds to the flexibility. Now, in the natural state, I guess, when it comes out of the cook, it's like this. I still have some of the original. This is what it really looks like after it comes out. It's almost like cooked pine rosin, but it's not nearly as sticky, and it's quite flexible, even in cold weather. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator too and see what happens, see if it snaps, and I'll show that in a future video here soon. But this is what it looks like when it comes out of the out of this batch that I cooked, and it's very much like tar. Okay, but it's very sticky. It's very much like other types of rosin that you cook in char and get blackened, but it has kind of a greasy feeling also. It's really neat stuff. And I have tried applying it to an arrow shaft, and it's 106 degrees now, and you can see it's slightly sticky. This is also the gum base mixture. I'll need to do, like I said, another batch of birch tar to get the pure birch tar and work more with that and show it on video what the properties are. Since this is the in the old world, this is what was used for almost everything as far as glue goes. Okay, but birch tar in the batches that I made before I burned it up really good, it wasn't all that flexible. It was sticky, just like I showed you. You know what I mean? Just sticky and tarry. And it might be because the birch tar I was using was from dead trees that had been rotted out. If you use more of a fresh bark, it may be more I don't know, it might be more flexible and less sticky. I don't know. Anyway, you can see that it would hold it down, but you would need to heat it up quite a bit, up to about 200 degrees, I guess, just below the boiling point of water, so you don't damage the feathers when you apply. Okay, and then once you apply the feathers to this, you can also hold it over some steam. Since this is not affected very much by water, it is water soluble. But it's less so than sugar, let's say. Okay, you can steam the feathers while you're sticking them on to the shaft, and then you bind them. Utzi's arrows had some binding on the fletching. Okay, spaced maybe 1/8 of an inch, very tight binding all the way down. I'll get into that in another video. I just wanted to show you what the birch tar looks like and how sticky it is. Again, it's 106 degrees here in Texas, so it does make a difference. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator and see if I can get it to break. Okay, this is my own proprietary batch. I'm not going to tell you how I make this, but this is quite flexible. This is what I like to use for my modern arrowheads. It is an asphaltum combination, but I'm not going to tell you the ingredients. Alright. It has modern resin in it, you know, modern components and stuff. So it's not a natural thing, but birch tar, I have used birch tar. It's pretty cool. Just don't make a mistake in cooking it too long. But if you do, or if you come up with a consistency that's just way too brittle, you can add gum base to it, and it's still natural. Gum base, basically the one I got. If you're curious about why would I put calcium carbonate, I think it was, in it. It's just chalk. It's mixed with chalk, so it's basically tree sap from the rubber tree mixed with chalk, mixed with some beeswax, some lecithin, soy products, hydrogenated soybean oil, and that sort of thing. Okay, so it's not unheard of that they would have known back in the day about the latex or the chicle tree sap, and then you add powdered chalk to the mix, or talc, and then maybe some oil, maybe some beeswax. Okay, because if you depend just on what you find, like straight from the tree or straight from the ocean side on the beach, the lumps of asphaltum or pine rosin from a tree, you may not get something you can use as glue. It may be too brittle, so you add something else to it. I think since the beginning of time they were doing that. I don't think they were using it straight. I think they would mix it with something else. Now there's very few references in the literature on the exact analysis of these glues, and I know you and I are the type that want to know exactly what the proportions are with all these things in the glue. You know, what's the proportion of pine tar and what's the proportion of asphaltum and blah blah blah, but I don't think there's a full analysis on any of that stuff, so we're going to have to experiment. Alright, on this here, on the natural fibers, I forgot to mention thistle, right? Flax, as in the old world, this is we used it quite a bit. Also, I think there's a mention on Utzi's arrow, the fletching wrap may have been made from either sheep wool or fur, under fur, rolled into a very fine thread. Okay, I think I saw that, but I need to research that. But other fibers, of course, can be wool or under fur. All right. I know if you have a dog that sheds a lot, like I do, you know that you can use the. I mean, you can imagine using the fur that you brush out as like a yarn or a thread. You can spin it out into a thread. Okay, I may show that also. All right. Let's see. I think that's it for this one. Oh no, one more thing. This is my setup for heating various resins. This is the pecan sap. All right, I think I look at that labeled. No, but I can tell because it's purplish. All right, I'll show you. It's quite gooey. Okay. but it also feels sticky like sugar. The birch tar is not this sticky. This is really, really sticky, okay? And this is the pecan sap. This one here, this is my own mixture of pitch, like I was showing. I call it super pitch. And then I have a friend of mine sent me a batch of pine rosin that he makes, and this is pretty hard. It's actually a very good mix. I don't know how he does it, but he uses pine rosin that he finds where he lives in, I can't remember if it's Tennessee or Alabama. Anyway, this is a really good pine rosin. It's better than what I've got. Okay. And this is just a skillet I use to heat up the resins and glues. What I do is I elevate one side, turn it on, and it's Teflon, so it won't stick. I can, after it's cooled down, I can peel out these batches of resin and then put the other batch in, whichever one I want to heat up at the time. All right, that's how I heated up this batch too. And when it's cooled down, I just pull it out. And these are pretty inexpensive skillets to get electric. All right. All right. So I showed you the molcajete earlier. I put this into a fire. You know, I wait for the coals to get nice and hot and steady, and I put this right into the fire on top of the coals, and it warms this up, and it retains heat, so it cools down slowly too, so it doesn't immediately get hard once it starts cooling down. Okay, I can work with it for a good amount of time. Okay, but of course you can cheat with the skillet. Works really well. All right, that's it.